I never thought I'd see the day when a gorilla would refuse to give birth. But that's exactly what happened at Greenfield Sanctuary, and what followed left everyone in shock. Dr. Emily Carter had never seen anything like it. She stood there, frozen, staring at Nia, the heavily pregnant gorilla, who was acting in ways that defied every expectation. Nia wasn't behaving like a typical expectant mother. She wasn't pacing, nesting, or even showing any signs of distress. Instead, she sat perfectly still in her enclosure, her eyes locked on the vet's every move. Something was wrong. Dr. Carter had been called in after Nia's behavior became increasingly unusual. At first, it seemed like just a minor issue, a slight delay in labor. But as the days went by, it became clear that Nia was not showing any intention of giving birth. Dr. Carter, experienced in dealing with all kinds of wildlife, couldn't shake the feeling that something more serious was at play. With each passing hour, the tension grew. As the team moved Nia into the clinic for closer observation, Dr. Carter's concerns deepened. Nia was perfectly healthy, physically at least. Her vital signs were normal, and she had no obvious medical issues. But there was something in the way she reacted to the ultrasound that didn't make sense. Dr. Carter decided to take a closer look at the ultrasound images. The screen flashed with the familiar image of Nia's pregnancy, but as she zoomed in, something was off. The images revealed something no one had expected. The baby wasn't positioned properly, but that wasn't the biggest shock. There was something else, something so rare and perplexing that Dr. Carter could barely believe her eyes. The baby gorilla wasn't just stuck, it was in danger. Nia had been holding on to the pregnancy, unwilling or unable to let go, because of a hidden complication that no one could have predicted. Dr. Carter felt a cold shiver run down her spine as she examined the screen. The ultrasound showed the baby was tangled in the umbilical cord, which was constricting its movement. Worse yet, it was preventing the gorilla from going into labor. Dr. Carter couldn't process what she was seeing. The room grew, silent as she turned to the other vets, her voice shaking as she whispered, "We have to act fast." It was the kind of medical emergency that only happens once in a lifetime, and the team knew they had to work together to save both mother and baby. The air was thick with uncertainty as the team prepped for an emergency procedure, hoping they weren't too late. Nia, still unaware of the severity of the situation, continued to sit calmly, her eyes filled with confusion and perhaps a bit of fear. Dr. Carter's mind raced as she prepared for the next steps. What was supposed to be a natural process had turned into a life-or-death situation. And now, they were about to embark on a journey to save both mother and child, if it wasn't already too late. Dr. Emily Carter took a deep breath as she looked at Nia, still sitting motionless in her enclosure. The tension in the room was palpable. Every inch of the sanctuary seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the decision that could make or break the situation. Emily's heart raced as she studied the ultrasound images again. The sight of the tangled umbilical cord wrapped around the baby's body was terrifying. Nia, normally calm and gentle, had been acting strangely for days, and now Emily knew why. She wasn't refusing to give birth out of willful behavior. The situation was more complicated, more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. The baby gorilla was in distress, and Nia's protective instinct was keeping it inside her, unable to bring it into the world. Emily stood still for a moment, processing everything. Her mind worked in overdrive as she formulated a plan. She had never seen anything like this in her years of practice. The decision was critical, and the pressure was mounting. If they didn't act quickly, both mother and baby could be in grave danger. Emily turned to her team, her voice steady despite the urgency. "Prepare for an emergency intervention. We need to act now, or we risk losing them both." The team scrambled into action, their focus sharpened by Emily's calm, yet authoritative presence. The tension in the air was thick as they prepped for the delicate procedure ahead. Emily knew there was no room for error. As the team moved swiftly to get the necessary equipment, Emily stayed close to Nia, offering quiet reassurance. The gorilla's eyes were full of confusion, as if she didn't fully understand why the humans around her were so frantic. Emily reached out and gently stroked Nia's back, hoping to comfort her. The large gorilla flinched slightly, but didn't move away. Emily spoke softly, trying to soothe her. "It's okay, Nia. We're going to help you. Just a little longer, and everything will be all right." The vet team worked efficiently, setting up the tools and preparing for the procedure. Emily couldn't help but glance at the clock. Time was ticking. The longer they waited, the greater the risk to both lives. The moment of truth was fast approaching. Emily's mind was focused solely on the task at hand. She had seen animals face danger, but this felt different. This wasn't just a medical emergency. It was a moment that would define her career. The thought of failing Nia and her baby was unbearable. The procedure had to go perfectly. As the team made their final preparations, Emily felt a sense of calm wash over her. She had spent years in the field, dealing with all kinds of emergencies, but this felt like the most important one. She knew that she had to act with precision and care. The team was ready. Emily gave the signal, and the procedure began. It was a delicate balance, moving quickly, yet carefully. As the doctors worked, Emily stood at the side, her eyes never leaving Nia. The next few minutes would decide the fate of both mother and child. The room was silent, except for the occasional rustling of equipment and the soft hum of the machines. Emily held her breath, praying that their actions would be enough to save both lives. Every second felt like an eternity. Then, finally, a moment of relief. The tangled cord was gently removed, and Nia's body began to respond. The baby gorilla was safe. Emily exhaled deeply, feeling the weight of the world lift off her shoulders. She looked at Nia, whose eyes softened with understanding. The ordeal was over. The team cheered quietly, their relief evident. Emily smiled, her heart swelling with pride. They had done it. They had saved Nia and her baby. It wasn't just a victory for the team. It was a triumph of life, of nature's resilience. As Emily looked at the baby gorilla, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. This was why she became a vet. Moments like this, when every second counted, and they were able to make a difference. As the minutes passed, Dr. Emily Carter stood by, her heart pounding as she watched Nia, the heavily pregnant gorilla, slowly regain her composure. The room was still, save for the faint beeping of the machines and the quiet murmur of her team. Nia's breathing had calmed, and the sense of urgency that had filled the air just moments before began to subside. Emily couldn't help but feel a rush of relief. The baby gorilla, whose life had been in jeopardy, was now safe. They had done it. The procedure had been successful. Nia had been through a traumatic experience, but the worst was over. She turned to the team, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "We did it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The team exchanged smiles, nodding in agreement. They had saved 2 lives today. Dr. Emily Carter allowed herself a brief moment to breathe. It was a small victory, but one that would stay with her for the rest of her life. As she glanced back at Nia, she could see the gorilla was now looking at her with a different expression, one of trust and understanding. Nia had always been gentle, but now there was a connection, a silent acknowledgement that the humans around her had saved her baby. Emily stepped closer to Nia, who was now seated, her eyes softening as she noticed her caretaker's presence. It wasn't just the physical trauma Nia had been through, it was the emotional toll that had taken place. Emily could see the exhaustion in her eyes, but there was also a sense of calm. She wasn't alone anymore. The baby gorilla, wrapped in a soft blanket and placed carefully in a corner of the room, let out a faint sound, a soft cry that broke the silence. Emily's heart melted. She turned to check on the newborn, making sure everything was fine. The baby was healthy, though still fragile. There was a long road ahead for both Nia and her little one. They would need time to recover, but Emily was confident that with the care and support from the team, they would be fine. "She's beautiful," Emily said softly, her voice full of awe as she looked at the tiny gorilla. Her eyes were already wide open, taking in the world around her. It was a moment of peace, a rare instance where everything felt right. But Emily knew that Nia and her baby would need time to adjust. This wasn't over. The team had to stay vigilant, make sure both mother and baby were given the best care possible. As the hours passed, Emily remained by Nia's side, watching over her, offering comfort. She wasn't just a vet in this moment. She was a protector, someone who had helped bring a new life into the world. The bond between Nia and her baby was already growing stronger. They were a family now, and Emily was proud to have been part of that story. She looked at the baby once more, her eyes softening as she watched the little one struggle to stand on shaky legs. Nia's gaze followed every movement, her eyes filled with what could only be described as love and pride. The journey ahead would be difficult, but for now, there was a sense of peace. Emily knew that the next few days would be crucial. There would be challenges, yes, but she was ready. The team was ready. And for Nia and her baby, this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one that would be filled with hope, healing, and the promise of a future together. Days passed, and Nia, the mother gorilla, gradually regained her strength. The bond between her and her newborn was growing stronger with each passing moment. Emily Carter, along with the rest of the veterinary team, remained vigilant, monitoring Nia and her baby closely. The baby, now a little more mobile, had begun to explore her surroundings, though she still wobbled on shaky legs. Emily couldn't help but smile at the sight. The little one was curious, and there was a quiet, gentle confidence in the way Nia observed her. Every time the baby took a few steps, Nia was there, her protective gaze never leaving her child. Emily spent hours with them, ensuring that both mother and baby were getting the care they needed. Nia's behavior had shifted from her earlier anxiety to a calm protectiveness, a mother's instinct kicking in. Emily observed how Nia gently nudged her baby when she ventured too far, as if guiding her back to safety. It was a tender moment, one that reminded Emily of the strength and devotion of the animal kingdom. Nia's recovery was slow but steady. Each day, she seemed more comfortable, more at ease in the presence of the humans around her. The team had provided her with ample space, allowing her to adjust to her new life with her baby. Emily knew that the coming weeks would be critical, and the team would need to continue monitoring their progress. Despite the quiet moments of joy, Emily couldn't help but worry about the future. There were still challenges ahead, but for now, she allowed herself to enjoy the small victories. Nia and her baby were alive, and that was enough for today. As the days turned into weeks, the sanctuary began to return to its usual rhythm. Visitors came and went, though the story of Nia and her baby had spread throughout the sanctuary, becoming a symbol of resilience and hope. Emily, though, remained focused on her work, never allowing herself to become complacent. She knew that their journey was far from over. The team continued to check on Nia regularly, ensuring that both she and her baby were thriving. Every day, Emily could see the bond between mother and child growing deeper. Nia had become more affectionate, no longer the distant figure she had once been. She now welcomed Emily's presence, allowing her to sit beside her without hesitation. Emily marveled at the progress they had made. Nia, once so withdrawn, was now a mother in the truest sense, protective and loving. The baby gorilla was blossoming, slowly but surely. Emily often found herself lost in thought, reflecting on the journey they had all been through. The unexpected complication that had threatened Nia's pregnancy seemed like a distant memory now. The mother and her baby were growing stronger every day, their future looking brighter with each passing moment. Emily was proud of what they had accomplished, but she knew that there was still work to be done. She couldn't rest. Yet, there were still risks to manage, still precautions to take. But for the first time since the emergency, Emily allowed herself to hope. Hope for Nia, hope for her baby, and hope for the sanctuary. It was a quiet kind of hope, but one that was more powerful than anything else. As the sun set over Greenfield Sanctuary, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Emily sat quietly by Nia's side, watching the two of them together. Nia, the mother gorilla, had come a long way. She had fought through adversity, and now she stood as a symbol of strength and resilience. Her baby, though small, had already shown signs of the same spirit. Together, they had overcome the odds, and Emily knew that the future was filled with possibilities for them both. As the weeks went by, Nia and her baby continued to thrive. The once fragile newborn had become more active, her legs growing stronger with each step. Nia, always vigilant, watched over her little one with unwavering care, guiding her as she explored her surroundings. Emily Carter and the veterinary team were constantly by their side, monitoring their progress and ensuring everything was going as smoothly as possible. Nia had transformed from a mother who had struggled to accept the circumstances of her pregnancy into a confident, loving figure. She was more engaged with her baby, offering gentle nudges and quiet comfort whenever the little one seemed unsure of her movements. It was as if the bond between them was growing stronger by the day, and Emily couldn't help but feel a deep sense of pride in what she had witnessed. The baby gorilla, once hesitant and weak, was now showing signs of true curiosity. She would explore her enclosure, moving cautiously at first, but each day her confidence grew. Emily had seen many animals become parents in her career, but the tenderness with which Nia cared for her baby was something truly special. It was clear that Nia had fully embraced her role as a mother, and her protective instincts were as strong as ever. As the months passed, the sanctuary became a place of quiet joy, with visitors often pausing to watch Nia and her baby interact. It wasn't just the animal care team who were touched by their story. Emily had watched the visitors' faces as they observed the bond between mother and child. It was a reminder of the beauty of nature and the strength that animals could show when it mattered most. Emily's relationship with Nia had evolved as well. The two had formed a quiet, mutual understanding. Nia had come to trust Emily fully, allowing her to come closer than before. There were moments when Emily would sit by Nia's side, offering gentle strokes as the gorilla rested, her baby nestled close to her. It was in those moments that Emily truly understood the depth of the bond between mother and child, not just in humans, but in all creatures. Nia's recovery had been nothing short of remarkable. The emotional trauma from her difficult pregnancy had taken a toll on her at first, but as time went on, she had shown her strength. The sanctuary had become a haven for both her and her baby. The environment allowed them to heal, away from the pressures of the outside world, in a place where they could find peace and safety. The veterinary team continued to monitor Nia's health, ensuring that she was physically recovering, but it was clear that her emotional recovery was just as important. As for the baby, Emily couldn't help but marvel at her progress. She was growing quickly, becoming more confident, and exploring her world with an increasing sense of wonder. Every day brought new discoveries for her, and every day Nia was there to guide her, to protect her, and to teach her the ways of the world. The bond between them was undeniable, and Emily was grateful to witness it firsthand. The future for Nia and her baby looked bright. There were still many challenges to face, but Emily was certain that they would overcome them. They had already faced adversity together, and the strength of their bond had proven to be their greatest asset. As the days turned into months, Emily knew that Nia and her baby would continue to thrive, just as she had always hoped. They had come so far, and the journey was just beginning. As the seasons changed, so did the growth of Nia and her baby. It was a quiet transformation, one that was felt more than seen. Nia, once so distant and unsure, had become a protective, nurturing figure, her instincts sharp and her love for her baby unmistakable. Emily Carter observed the changes with awe, noting how the once uncertain mother had now fully embraced her role. Every day, Emily saw the bond between mother and child grow stronger. The baby, who had once struggled to stand, was now walking with more confidence. Her steps were still unsteady, but each day she grew more agile, more aware of her surroundings. Emily could see the tiny glimmer of curiosity in the baby's eyes, a spark of intelligence that mirrored her mother's. It was a remarkable sight, one that filled Emily with hope for the future. Nia, always by her baby's side, seemed to know exactly when her little one needed reassurance. The gorilla would gently nudge her child with her head, guiding her back to safety whenever the baby ventured too far. It was a simple act, but it spoke volumes about the strength of Nia's maternal instincts. The sanctuary, once a place of uncertainty and fear, had transformed into a sanctuary of healing. Emily and her team had worked tirelessly to create an environment where Nia and her baby could flourish. It wasn't just the physical recovery that mattered. It was the emotional healing that had truly made a difference. Nia was no longer the anxious, reluctant mother she had once been. She had found peace in her new life, and with that peace came a deeper bond with her baby. As time passed, Emily found herself spending more time with Nia and her baby. It was a quiet companionship, one that didn't need words. Emily would sit by Nia's side, watching as the mother gorilla tended to her baby with such care and tenderness. In those moments, Emily was reminded of the power of nature, the way animals, like humans, could experience deep emotional connections. The sanctuary had become a place of refuge for Nia and her baby, but it had also become a place of growth for Emily. She had learned so much from the way Nia cared for her young. It was a lesson in patience, in the power of love, and in the resilience of life. Nia and her baby were thriving, but Emily knew that their journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, as there always were with wildlife. But she felt a deep sense of confidence that, together, they would face whatever came their way. As the baby grew stronger, Nia's protective nature became even more evident. She would watch over her little one, her eyes scanning the surroundings, always alert, always ready to defend. It was a beautiful thing to witness, the way Nia had fully embraced motherhood, and the way her baby responded with trust and love. Emily often found herself reflecting on how far they had come. From the moment of crisis, when Nia had refused to give birth, to this moment, where mother and baby were thriving in a safe and nurturing environment, it was clear that the journey had been worth it. Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude for being a part of this story, for witnessing the incredible strength of both Nia and her baby. They had overcome so much, and yet, their story was just beginning. The future was full of possibilities, and Emily couldn't wait to see where their journey would take them next. As the days continued to pass, Nia and her baby had become a symbol of strength and resilience at the sanctuary. Emily Carter spent her days closely monitoring their progress, witnessing the bond between mother and child grow stronger every day. The baby, once shaky and uncertain, had now gained the confidence to move around more freely, exploring her environment with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Nia, ever vigilant, watched over her baby with tender care, always alert to any potential danger, though the sanctuary was a safe haven for them both. Emily had grown fond of their quiet companionship, spending time with Nia and her baby during her rounds. There was something uniquely comforting about watching the two of them interact. Nia, protective and calm, and the baby, eager to explore the world around her. It was in these moments that Emily felt the weight of her work and the purpose it brought. It wasn't just about healing animals. It was about witnessing moments of pure connection and love that transcended species. As the baby gorilla grew, she began to mimic Nia's actions. Emily noticed how the little one would observe her mother closely before attempting to do the same things, like reaching out to touch objects or cautiously trying to climb small ledges in her enclosure. Each successful attempt was met with a look of approval from Nia, who would gently nudge her baby, encouraging her to keep going. It was clear that Nia was more than just a mother in the biological sense. She was an active teacher, guiding her baby through the early stages of life with patience and love. The sanctuary staff had become deeply invested in Nia and her baby's journey, each member of the team feeling a sense of pride in the progress they had made. Emily was particularly moved by how the entire experience had affected her own perspective on motherhood and the incredible strength animals exhibited in their care for their young. The connection between Nia and her baby was unlike anything she had ever witnessed before. It wasn't just about survival. It was about the emotional depth of a mother's love and the lengths to which she would go to ensure the safety and well-being of her child. As the months rolled on, Emily continued her daily visits to Nia and her baby. The baby gorilla was becoming more and more like a young explorer, testing the limits of her world while constantly looking to Nia for reassurance. Nia, in turn, seemed to find great satisfaction in watching her baby grow. There were times when Emily caught the two of them sitting together, the baby nestled close to Nia, both of them resting after a long day of exploration. It was a peaceful sight, one that reminded Emily of the incredible bond they had formed over the past several months. Though Nia had gone through a difficult and traumatic beginning, she was now thriving, and so was her baby. The challenges they had faced had only strengthened their bond, and now, they were both living a life filled with promise and hope. Emily had always known that every animal had a unique story, but Nia and her baby's journey was something extraordinary. It had been a story of survival, of adversity, and most importantly, of love. As the baby gorilla grew, she continued to bring joy to everyone at the sanctuary. There was a sense of pride in knowing that they had helped her and Nia through such a difficult time. The future for Nia and her baby looked bright, and Emily couldn't wait to see what would come next in their journey together. As the days turned into months, Nia and her baby continued to flourish, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Emily Carter watched with a sense of pride as the little one, now a curious and energetic young gorilla, began to show her independence. The baby had become more agile, her movements more confident. She explored her surroundings with an enthusiasm that could only be matched by Nia's watchful eye. Nia, ever the protective mother, stayed close by, her gaze never straying far from her baby. There was a sense of peace in the sanctuary now, a feeling of calm that had not been there when they first arrived. Nia and her baby had overcome the challenges that had once seemed insurmountable, and now they were thriving. Emily often found herself reflecting on how far they had come. From the moment Nia had struggled with her pregnancy, to the emergency procedure that had saved both mother and child, to this moment of tranquility, everything had led to this. It was a testament to the strength of both Nia and her baby, and to the dedication of the entire team at the sanctuary. The sanctuary staff continued their work, but there was a new sense of joy in their daily tasks. Visitors were drawn to the story of Nia and her baby, often stopping by their enclosure to watch the two interact. It was clear that Nia had become a symbol of resilience and motherhood, and her baby was following in her footsteps, growing stronger every day. Emily spent her days with them, often sitting quietly nearby, watching as Nia guided her baby through the early stages of life. She marveled at the way the baby would look to Nia for reassurance, how Nia would gently nudge her, guiding her towards safety and comfort. It was a beautiful thing to witness, the way Nia had embraced her role as a mother, and the way the baby had embraced life. As the months went on, Emily knew that their journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, as there always were with wildlife, but she felt confident in their ability to face them together. Nia and her baby had already proven their strength, and now they had the sanctuary and the care they needed to continue thriving. Emily couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for the experience. She had seen so many animals come and go, but Nia and her baby had left a lasting impact on her. They had taught her about resilience, about love, and about the power of family. The future was uncertain, as it always was, but for now, Nia and her baby were thriving, and that was all that mattered. Emily smiled as she watched the two of them, Nia's watchful gaze following every movement of her baby. It was a simple moment, but one that spoke volumes about the power of love and connection. Nia and her baby had found their place in the world, and Emily knew that their story was only just beginning. The bond between Nia and her baby continued to grow stronger as the days turned into months. Nia had fully embraced motherhood, her instincts as a protective and loving mother now shining through in every interaction with her baby. Emily Carter could see the remarkable transformation in both mother and child. The baby gorilla, once weak and fragile, was now a bundle of energy, exploring her surroundings with curiosity and excitement. Every day, the little one grew more confident, learning to navigate the world around her under Nia's watchful eye. Emily spent countless hours observing them, quietly marveling at how quickly the baby had blossomed. Nia's watchful gaze never strayed too far from her baby, always ensuring she was safe, and Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the natural bond between them. Nia's protective nature had become second nature to her. She gently nudged her baby when she ventured too far or hesitated, guiding her with a soft nudge or a watchful stare. The sanctuary had become their home, a place where they could heal and grow together, away from the dangers that once threatened their lives. Emily knew that the journey for Nia and her baby was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, but the strength they had shown in overcoming the past gave her hope for their future. She watched as Nia and her baby began to interact more with the other animals in the sanctuary. The baby, though still small and unsteady, was slowly beginning to join the others in their playful interactions, though always under Nia's watchful eye. It was clear that Nia trusted the sanctuary staff and the safe environment they had provided. She had come a long way from the anxious and reluctant mother she had once been. Now, she was a proud, confident parent, and Emily was honored to witness this transformation. The team continued to monitor Nia and her baby closely, ensuring their health and well-being. There were still some concerns about the long-term effects of Nia's difficult pregnancy, but for now, everything seemed to be progressing well. Nia's strength and resilience had been nothing short of inspiring. Emily reflected on how much she had learned from both Nia and her baby. In all her years as a veterinarian, she had seen many animals go through difficult circumstances, but the bond between mother and child was always something that moved her. Nia's protective nature and unwavering love for her baby had reaffirmed for Emily the power of the mother-child relationship in the animal kingdom. As the months passed, the baby